All right, so in this demo, I'm going to clean up this action here. I will also share this file so you can just download it and you can play around with it as well. So there are some different methods that I use when I'm cleaning up motion capture. The one that I like to use is just a layered way where I start with the hips, I just exaggerate the hips, and then I go to the spine and the head. So I work outwards from the body, and I think about it everything as a bouncing ball. So I work on this bouncing ball first, and then move on to the next bouncing ball, which are the pivot, the focal points of the character. And the head, and I work outwards from the shoulders all the way to the hands and down the legs as well. So as you can see, this rig, it doesn't have a rig, it's just bones. So I have a hotkey here, the joints, this turns on the joints on and off. This is how I like to work. I like to build a rig on top of my rig. In this case, it's just bones. I created a box here, and let's just call this like poses. Like these are the main key poses that I saw when I was like dragging, and I just keyed that box and I turned it into like green color here. And there are some other scripts that does this, but if you have Animbot and if you go to workspace and under this red one here, playback tools, there's a tool called play keys. So it's right here. If you click it, it will add it there. When that box is selected, I can press this button here and it will only play those keys in stepped without actually like deleting keys. There are still a lot of keys here because like it's a fast motion, but you can key that box and then hit that button, and then if something doesn't make sense, like how did my character get from there to there? Let's say, let me pause this. Let's say you deleted some keys here and then you play it, you will kind of see like the character will pop there, and like it doesn't tell us how that character got there. So it's a good tool where you can just if you're like more like a pose-to-pose stepped animator, you can work this way just by like deleting keys. But what I'm going to do today is just work more pose-to-pose, and then maybe I'll do another demo on the layering stuff, which how I like to work. So let's go ahead and let's rig this guy first using basic over rig scripts. So I'm going to go front view here. I have a hotkey that switches between top, front, and side. Let's go to front view, and I'm going to go select his hips, his belly, chest 1, and then upper chest, which is spine 2, in that order. And I'm going to go here to hierarchy, this new button here that will create a spine for us. So I'm going to click that. I'm going to do create and rotate. So these black ones, these black arrows, they should be pointing where the chest is, like outwards if you look at it from the top. So this one looks correct, but it's off. If it's off, you can just rotate it to be those arrows forward. So those look good. Let's make it a little bigger. Okay. And then I'm going to say apply and bake. So now I have two controls. One controls the hip, and then this one controls the whole spine. But notice how it's moving the whole spine, which is really cool. So instead of animating with 4 controllers or 1, 2, 3 controllers, you're just using 1 controller or just basic block out. And these ones are like the supporting ones. So you can animate the belly and just get like better shapes. So I'm going to make these a little bit smaller, and let's make this a little bigger. And then, so instead of having like, if you have a character rig, usually you have, when you have a character rig, there's like the hip control there. There's another like hip rotation one here. Sometimes it's even like 1, 2, 3, 4. So instead of grabbing all of those 4, you're just basically grabbing 1, and it actually moves like a real character, like a real spine. It bends like a real spine, and you can compensate this part like that. If you're like a minimalist, you can do this. All right, so let's grab those new controllers and just make a selection set out of it. I'm going to grab hips, these ones, this one, this little, not that one, this little red one, and then the torso, and make it purple. So now we have those, and let's turn, when I'm doing pose to pose, I like to work in IK. I'm going to go create some IK controllers on this bone. So let's grab the upper arm, the lower arm, and then the hands. And I'm going to click this little button here under IK spline. 3 to IK. 3, what is it? IK. Yeah, 3 to IK. Let's click it. Look at that. We have an IK controller now, and our animation did not change. It's doing the same thing. I'm going to make this hand a little bigger. And let's grab this, this, and then this. And let's create a set. Which one is it? Let's call this left limb. Okay. Let's play around with it. So I did not include the shoulder yet. That's okay. We can do that in a bit. I'm going to do the same thing on the other arm. Let's grab this, this, and then this. 3 to IK. Make it slightly bigger. And let's grab these. Okay. We got the torso, we got the right limb, left limb. Let's do the leg. Same thing. I just have to grab 3 controllers. So upper leg, lower leg, and then the foot. 3 to IK. Make it bigger. I don't like, when I'm doing like animation like this, I don't like to animate it from the ankle. I just like to put it where I play in a place where it's like contacting the floor. Usually I like to put like, there's a lot of ball movement here. So while this IK controller is selected, I'm going to do a not offset and just bring that not offset somewhere closer to the ball of the foot. Right there, looks good. I'm going to go here, go to gimbal mode. Let's just zero out this one so it's like straight. And maybe we can just bring it somewhere around here, closer there. And I'm going to click an empty space on the viewport. Now it will bake the animation. Now I can control my foot from there. Pretty cool. And this guy is it has a constraint on it, so I don't want to key it. I can just lock these so I don't key it. Lock selected, and just make it smaller. And maybe turn it into like a gray color. Where's the color? There. So I don't key it. So this way of working with locators, I can see my rig even more, like my character, so I don't really focus on the rig too much. And I don't get distracted that way. Let's select the upper leg, lower leg, foot, 3 to IK, make it bigger. And then let's do another not offset there. Let's drag it this way. Let's zero that out. Okay. Looks good. Maybe a little bit more down there. Click an empty space on the viewport. Now we have this kind of control. And then let's lock this one. Lock selected. Where are you? Lock selected. And then let's turn it into a gray color. Cool. Now we have the legs. We can select this, this, and then this. And then let's just select the whole leg together. And let's just say legs. Cool. Now I have the legs, right? So I'm going to select all of these. I'm holding Shift. 3, 4. Okay, cool. And I'm going to create another selection set here and just say all. That will be my main one when I'm like baking stuff. So we can turn off the joints. All right, cool. Now we have the rig. Let's go ahead and save this again. Let's just call this one key poses. And let's extract our key poses from that box. That box will tell me wherever my key poses are. I'm kind of getting distracted here by these controllers. They're too colorful. Let's do a different color here. Maybe purple, like that. Okay, that's better. So I forgot the shoulders. Let's turn on the joints, and I need to add these as well. So for the shoulders, I'm just going to keep it in bones and just add this to the set. So right now I have 20 controllers on my whole rig, except the fingers. I'm not going to do the fingers yet. I'm just going to work on these main key poses, but I still need to include those fingers as well because we're going to work pose to pose. Let's grab all of these and this. I have a hotkey here that selects all of the hierarchy underneath it. So let's do select all the hierarchy. Where is it? This one. So 20 controllers. Let's add that as well. Add to set. And let's do the same thing here. Let's grab this one. Select the hierarchy. And then let's deselect that hand. So 20. Add to set. Now when I select it, it will include those fingers and the shoulder as well. Cool. And let's just save this and save it in the base as well. So we have 2 files. If you have Animbot, I know there's like different tools for this. And if you go into Workspace, go to this green one, this baking tool here, little cupcake. And then if you select this one, bake from last selected, it will be added to here. Let's select all of our character. Everything's on ones. And then I'm going to shift select that little box. And then if I click this button here, bake from last selected, it will get rid of all of that data in between those key poses. So I'm only left with my key poses. So this, I will only focus on making these poses better. And I'm going to go straight ahead and just make these poses look awesome, just like a keyframe animator. Okay. Exaggerate these poses because I think it will be fun. Cool. Let's start with this one. And we have our reference here as well. He has this nice reverse C shape in his body. And his weight is on the left foot. So let's get that in there. The weight is on this foot here. Let's get a nice C shape in the body. And let's fix his head right there. Okay. Let's look at his, maybe bring these in a little bit. And let's just twist this so he's like that. So a better pose immediately. And he has this hand close to his chin. So a good thing to do for like posing is if you hit 7, right now I have lights, but I want to see the silhouette. Like right now, like if this hand is down here, I won't be able to see that hand. So right here is a better silhouette. But if you can see, like this is kind of like collapsing with this hand. But this is even better here, where you can see the limbs better. So I'm going to break down this pose a little bit more so I get a flow like this. For gameplay animation, I like to look at my poses from different angles. And for now, you know what I forgot? I forgot to add these as well. Let's add them as well. The ball. Select those 2, select the box, bake from last selected, and let's just add these two into my selection set. Okay. All right. Now, immediately, that's a better pose. I'm not going to focus on the fingers now. Let's just work on those broad shapes, and let's just focus on posing here. He's dipping his head to the side. Let's see. Pretty much here, his head is pretty much very stable, except here. He kind of bends. That's a nice key pose there. All right, let's go ahead, straight ahead. And I'm going to turn on my tween machine here. Animbot has it. Score rig script, so I'm going to use that one. So let's put this on. I want this pose and this one to be same, so I'm going to favor it that way. This foot goes up. The animation starts from here. Oh, okay. Animation starts from here. So the weight is on the back foot. Let's fix that really quick. Okay. So 1 and 2 on my keyboard are next frame and previous frame. So I'm flipping between my key poses a lot when I work. And when I'm flipping through them, I'm looking for a change in the body. Joints. Let's favor this again. And let's push off with that foot. So this leg is coming up, right? When you're doing posing, everything's connected. So this hip might come up as well, right? So just a little bit of like that. And I want to show some change in the body there. Maybe you can do something like that. So look at that. The head is pretty much stable. Both of those hands, both of them are going down at the same time. Let's grab the rotations on this one. Rotation, and let's just favor that rotation here, but not the translation. So see that? Let's grab the rotation again. Let's favor it back here. So I'm kind of going straight ahead. As you can see, like there's a lot of stuff happening here. I want to keep that. Let's look at it here. What I'm going to do here, turn on this one. And when that foot is coming up, I'm just going to go to gimbal and just drag this down slightly. No, I don't like that too much. Let's do it a little bit. Okay, not too much. Turn off the joints. Turn back on the locators. And working this way, you will become a better animator by analyzing motion capture because you're seeing your data from all angles. Just going to do something like that. Let's bring it that way. Bring that hip up. Let's look at his spine here. So he has a reverse shape here. And then when he goes, it changes, which is kind of like it. That foot is fully down there when the punch happens. Now let's make this punch a little bit stronger. Let's add some reach to him. He's kind of like eye level here. Let's get that in there. Let's go to top view. Look at that. So I like working this way. Top view, side view. Especially like top view is really good for gameplay. Let's look at it from the front. Because like the difference is in feature film, you're only animating to one camera, right? But for games, you can animate to, you can see this character from all angles. Right? It can be your character. If it's like a multiplayer character, they can be here, they can be at the back. If it's a gameplay animation, you probably do a camera like this, and mostly like focus on this kind of stuff. But let's grab the joint here and let's just make this, let's extend that shoulder because everything's connected, right? Even the chest actually. Let's do something like that. It's kind of straight actually. Let's do something like that. He tucks his chin in, but the head is pretty much straight again here. Maybe move the head out of the way so that shoulder comes. So he's not in the center line there. Let's bring this arm to the guard. Cover his chin up a little bit. But notice, like, I'm thinking about the poses making sense, right? Pushing these poses slightly, the audience will feel it. So that's much stronger. I kind of like let's see. That feels better. Like, I don't want to do stuff like this where he's like extending, pushing it too far. I'm losing the realism. Let's fix that dip there in the head. Save it. Boom. There's a little hop there with the foot. I like that. Where can I put that hop? Somewhere here. I'm just going to temporarily put a up here. I can come back to it later. See that? I'm looking how much twist there is in the body. Let's bring that shoulder up a little bit more. If you look at him, he's covering his, almost his like side face there. Turn on the joint because I don't have a controller for that. And I'm just going to go, can I use translation? Let's use translation on the shoulder. Okay. So think about your poses as like an action figure. Like, do I like this action figure? Not the fingers. I don't like the fingers yet, but like the broad shapes. Does it look like he's punching someone, like he's jabbing someone? And ask yourself that question. And then he immediately goes into the second jab. Same thing here. I can just go straight ahead. Just make this pose better. One. I like this pose. Like, this is something that the data didn't give me, I think. He has this arm right there, kind of like pointing, and the arm is like really in there. Sneaky punch. And this one is coming back. I want it to come back in a more interesting way. Cool. Now let's make this punch better. It's off the hitting line here. The enemy would be somewhere around here, right? And let's just add some twist to the punch. So let's add some twist, more impact in the jab. And he's leaning to the side there, so he's off the center line. That foot should stand still, I think. Okay. 1, 2. Let's drag this chest. I'm going to do another pass on the fingers. I don't want to bore you guys here. I never want to delete keys on the foot. The feet, they're always moving. There's so much movement happening. You can't really see it here, but I never want to like delete keys on the feet. All right, let's get that third punch in there, that hook. I think that's a liver hook. Liver shot? No, it's a hook. So one thing that is really cool here is that after, like, and I saw this on some like MMA breakdown. like the hook doesn't really come from the upper body. If you look at his feet here, the feet are like pushing that hook. So notice how his body keeps going up after he throws that hook. So the power really comes from the feet. Oh, Rampage Jackson was talking about that, like how they have like hooks. You just do like a lot of jump squats. All right, let's get some better poses there. I want to delay that arm slightly. So something like this kind of arc going up. Let's bring that hook somewhere here. Maybe even higher, and let's bring that elbow in. And let's break the motion down here. Always keep your hand near your chin. Like always try to bring it back after you throw a punch, so you don't get knocked out like I did. Cool. I like that pose. Maybe bring this up, down, up a little bit. Let's play this part only. Ooh, feels stronger. So like immediately changing your poses, things start to look more punchier now. I can still do like a rough timeout on this, time pass on this one. But much different than what we had before. And that only happened with some like solid posing. A lot of students thought like in the past, I always thought like I need to teach like more layered stuff, layered animation. But most of the students that I was teaching, like their main struggle is just like good posing. So this one feels a little weak. Kick here. I don't know if I should include it. All right, let's include that as well. Let's work on the kick. Let's go straight ahead. Boom. So going from a pose to another pose, I want to get there with interesting arcs. It doesn't have to be on the hand. In this case, it can be on the elbow. So I like to keep my, like, I look at the focal points that I want to create a nice arc. So previous keyframe and next keyframe, I just go back and forth and I just drag my mouse on top of that focal point. And I try to get a better arc. Let's do it here. Same thing with the shoulders. And you don't want to go, unless you're animating a robot, you don't really want to go like in a linear fashion, in a linear way from a pose to another pose. It's going to make it look like a robot. Let's go to joints, turn this on. Maybe I can drop that shoulder. Oh, I like this pose. Okay. Let's look at this. Let's get a better kick pose here. What's our guy doing? This guy, his name is Daigo. He's on Twitter. This is a really nice pose here. I kind of want to get that. Can I? Yeah, I like that pose. So instead of this pose, I want to get a sharper one. Something like that. So he's leading with that, with the knee. Wow, that foot like kind of like what it whips itself at the end there. Can't really see it, but and I think I'm going to do that. Just bake it back to FK and just animate it in FK. I can always bake this animation back to the bones, but just let's get this main key pose here. Let's bring that hip this way, get a nice reverse C shape. So whenever I'm pushing these poses, I'm looking at Okay, if there's a C pose in the spine, can I push it even more by doing this, making it sharper? If there's an S shape, can I push it more and make it sharper, right? Like that. Or like that. So when I say pushing poses, I have a whole course on this called Push That Pose where I talk about this kind of stuff. So that leg is coming forward. That means I can twist this a little bit more, right? Everything is connected in the body. And I'm trying to get that with the center line. So usually with gameplay animation, that's why I like working from the top. I can like really land those punches on a straight line. So if there's a line there, it will line up with the enemy. So 1, 2. This one, not so much, but still. See that kick landing with that line? Sorry, not that one, this one. Let's get some better hand poses there. See that there's like a nice arc there with his right hand? I can get that in there. After that little kick. This one starts to go this way. And I want to get a better silhouette. I want to see both hands. This one looks too feminine. I'm going to bring this like that. Let's bring this here. He's off balance here. So I can make him more balanced. Let's make him look at the enemy. That's a cool pose. Let's make him lean forward a little bit more. And he starts to look at you here. All right, let's close this for now. Let's work on, keep going actually, until 1, 2, 3. Let's work on this main one. We can work backwards. We don't have to like stick to like straight ahead. All right, that's a cool pose there. Maybe push this line a little bit more. So I'm getting a better line of action here, like this shape. And I just did that by moving the head. Yeah, sorry. Let's get a better hand pose. Nice. 1, 2. When he comes in, I'm going to bring this a little bit more here this way and get him a better arc. Nice line of action here. Let's get that. So if I draw a line from arm to arm, I can make a circle there. Something like this. And even grab this pull vector and just push it this way. So you keep going like this, right? You push these poses, and then later on, we can paste these poses on top of our motion capture file. So we still get that like little jitters and stuff like that. Let's bring that in. So there's contrast. Let's see. I want to hold this key pose here, bring that leg in, down, and then bounce at the end. Look at it from different angles. Turn off the locators. This part I'm going to need to fix the feet. Open up the graph editor, and let's just grab the translate Y. And let's just put it down there. So the kick here, there's some wobbly head stuff going on. There. I need to fix that. So for stuff like that, I can just figure that out in the graph editor. Let's go to, if I go to gimbal, it will tell me like he's rotating forward there. So I'm going to look at rotate X. better. Let's look at it from here. Is it coming from the head? I think so. I think so. Okay, now that we have our key poses here, we're going to go select all of the controllers. And then I'm going to open up Studio Library. You can use another different tool where you export your animation. So right click, and we're going to go Animation. And let's just call this Key Poses. And we can even take a screenshot. Make sure Bake Connected is off because we only want the key poses. And I'm just going to say Save. And now that is saved in the library, we can close this. Now let's open up our base file. Select all the controllers. As you can see, everything here is on ones. I'm going to create a layer. We're just going to call this Override. Okay. And right click on it and make sure it says Override. Our character will collapse and there will not be any animation except some movement there, which is okay. And let's go to here, add another layer, and we're just going to do this in additive. And we're going to paste our key poses in the additive one. Right click on it, make sure it's additive, make sure this is override, and select all the controllers. Open up Pose Library, Studio Library, and I'm just going to double click this. I did it on the wrong layer. So let's take that back, Control Z. I should post it on the additive layer. Now I have those key poses there. Now once we have that, we can come back here. We can merge these layers. We can just do automatic, turn off the Smart Bake, and just say merge. Okay, so now we're back to the base layer. Now I see some weird stuff going on here with the foot. I can fix that really quickly in the graph editor. And now, like, once I have this, like the pose is changed. The timing is pretty much still same. Like I did a rough timing in this in the beginning. But if you want to make this a little bit more snappier because the pose has changed, I have another tool that I like to use called EB Labs Retime tool. This is one is like a paid one. But I like using this one because I can select all the controllers, create a new retime, and add all of those selected objects inside that retime controller. So now if I go to the graph editor here, there's only one curve that I can grab this whole thing and just make this faster. Let's say the designer tells you, hey, I want this to be faster. Like I want that first hit to happen not on frame 11, not on frame 12, but let's say frame 8. I can come here, I can just drag this to frame 8, and now that will happen on frame 8. And maybe the second punch, it can be a little bit faster as well. 1, 2. Maybe I want to have a longer anticipation on this one. So let's lock in that punch and let's have a bigger anticipation here, a longer one. So it snaps into that punch, and maybe you want to sell that punch a little bit more. We can add another key here and just extend this out. So he really holds that punch for a couple frames there. Even in polish mode, sometimes I just retime my whole shot. Retime, it doesn't have to be in the beginning of the animation. It can be towards the end as well. Let's make this whole part a little bit faster. And with this tool, you can add different body parts into this single curve. It doesn't have to be the whole body. It can be separated from the torso, the head. Let's make that kick a little bit snappier. Here, from here to here. I'm going to drag this inside like that. So it snaps into that pose, and maybe hold this pose 1 or 2 frames more. And I'm looking for a rhythm, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.